Okay, so these are the three cuttings, well, rooted cuttings, I guess, or plants that I've grown in my nursery that I'm getting ready to mail out, actually. These are three orders that I got on my Etsy store. So this is Hoya polystacha. Nice green veiny leaves have developed. That was the leaf when I originally took the cutting right there, but you can really see the leaves have really veined out nicely and they have that nice dark outline. And then we've got a nice healthy node right here at the top, or not node, runner here at the top with lots of new growth points. And then we've got this is one of my favorites. This is a Hoya lacunosa snowcaps. I don't have any of these trellised because when I mail things out, I don't include the trellises. So this is a really like fine leafed Hoya, very, very thin leaves, branches a lot, does really well actually, in my opinion, hanging, even though I usually, like my mother plant, like I have it trellised for sure, but this is a really pretty one to grow pendant and hanging. Okay, so I thought it might be fun to just bring you along as I pack these up. I didn't really have anything planned. Well, I did have something planned for today, but I'm just not in a good space to film it. So I figured I'd bring you along with the packing process, since that is part of, if you do own a plant nursery, that's part of life. Or if you're a customer, maybe you want to see like what a plant looks like when it gets packed up. These were all watered yesterday. One thing you can do is, if you do water, I like to water in the summer before I send these out, just so that they stay moist longer. Mind frame? Yeah, okay. If you see me look at my watch, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm in frame, in the camera frame. So one thing you can do is, if you do water and your plant's still wet, is you can soak it overnight, like on a paper towel, and maybe change the paper towel a few times, just to avoid like sending out like a super wet plant. This one's okay. And what I do is, I have, for these smaller plants, these are in like, I think like 2.5 inch, these little square nursery pots. So like hopefully that's not the final home for this plant, but what I do is I take the tag out and set it aside, and then pull it up, and then I have a big bag of polyfill here, and I just take some polyfill, and then I make sure I have my tape, and then this has like a little thing that'll score it, so it'll cut the tape. But I take the polyfill, and then I fill in any gaps here, and then I'll pull the plastic sandwich bag around it to close it. That way the medium doesn't like fall out in transit, because when you're shipping a plant, the box could go like any way. So, and the plant in the box, like the medium could fall out. So you want to make sure, the first thing you do is you want to think about how you're going to secure the medium in the pot so that it doesn't fall out during transit, because this plant is going to be packed very likely sideways. So yeah, I fill in the gap there. Another way you could do it is just, some nurseries I've gotten orders from, they just tape over it, so that's another option that you have. And then I pull the bag up, and then I like to pre-prep a couple pieces of tape and just kind of stick them to the counter. That way they're ready for when I need them. And then I just twist and try to figure out like what are the best places so that like the plant doesn't snap, and that so that the medium doesn't fall out. So sometimes this can take you a little while to you know, figure out what, especially if you're new to shipping plants out. So let's see, how do we want to arrange this? But yeah, like I was saying, I got really lucky today in that I only have I have three small orders to pack up, so that's nice. In the really warm summer months, something else you can do is you could put like a damp paper towel on top of the medium, and then underneath the, or you could just do that to keep the medium in. I've done that too in the past. So that keeps the plant a little wet, the soil a little bit wetter. And there you go. I can turn this upside down. No medium's gonna escape or dump on the customer, and nothing's gonna come out of the bottom. There are other ways you can do this, I'm sure. This is just what I've found works best for me. If it's, you could use like saran wrap, and if it's a larger plant, I just use a larger plastic bag, but saran wrap's always an option. And then I usually clean off the tag, but this tag is pretty clean. This is the Hoya polystachya that we're sending out. So for shipping, I just use this like craft paper. You can get it at like Menards. That's where we got ours. And then what I do is I have to put stuff down. Since it's rolled up, it'll retract on you really fast. So, let's see. I just kind of like to take a minute and figure out like how I want to package the plant. So for actually like wrapping it in paper, okay. So I've just rolled the plant out. I placed it on the paper, and this is just craft paper you can get at Menards or Home Depot or whatever. I'm trying to figure out how much space I want to leave at the top, because I want to leave a little bit of space so I can fold the top. And basically for this step you're gonna need your packing tape. Again, let's make some pre-cut strips. And then what I do is I take some polyfill and, well, actually, first I try to determine like, okay, how much space do I need at the top, because I'm gonna wrap this around. So let's make our cut. Probably that actually is perfect. So let's make our cut here. Okay. So we've got a nice size to wrap this in. So then what I do is I want to make sure these vines have a little bit of polyfill kind of around the leaves, like underneath the plant, and then around, like, you know, into the leaves too, just to protect them. So basically we're trying to fill any voids, any open spaces in the plant between the leaves and stuff, because we're gonna wrap this little sucker up. So looks good. And I actually just tape the plant down to the paper, and then what I do is I take another piece of tape and I'll let this go because I'm going to start to roll it. So I tape the plant down to the packing paper, and then I start to roll the plant up and around. And before I really roll, I tape the packaging, the paper, to the pot itself. So, and then I just wrap. That should be good. Then I'll cut it. So there we go, detached. And then I take tape and I pop it on the side just to kind of seal it. Try to tape up the bottom. You don't need to because we've got the sandwich bag on top, but you can if you want. Put a piece of tape over that. Okay. And then what you want to do next is we've got quite a bit of room here to be able to fold over. So you want to make sure that you check like where the base of the plant is, like where the stem comes up to, so that you don't fold it over onto the stem. And then what I'll do is I'll tape the tag to the plant this way. I know like because I do this in phases, so this way I know like, okay, this is the Hoya lacunose, the snow cap. So that helps me when I'm packing like multiple orders. I have chosen my boxes for my plants, and this time I got lucky. I was able to use all United States Postal Service boxes. So what I did last year when I started the plant business was I requested a bunch of these, and USPS brings it right to your house, right to your door. Okay, so this is the plant once it's packed. So you can see I used newspaper in there, and I've got these air fillers and then like some bubble wrap, basically just anything to fill the void in around the plant. And then what you're looking for is when you close the flaps, and I'm not going to tape this yet, but when you close the flaps, you want to be able to press down and make sure that like this isn't going to compact in on itself, and then it'll have the tape over it to hold some structure too. So we've got all the voids, all the empty voids inside the box filled, and next we're going to print our packing slip once we pack our other two plants. All right, so I've got my plant packed for the most part. I filled in all the packaging materials in the voids to make sure there's no empty space. And I can't really show you this next part because what I'm doing is I'm going into my Etsy store and I'm going to print the label. Let's see, so I go to the store. My goal here is to print two things. Luckily today I remember like I just finished packing up the Hoya polystasha box, so I'm going to go to get shipping label. So I've got my scale, I've got my box. So what I need to print the shipping label, I need information about the dimensions on the box, and I can find those right there on the box. I know it's backwards, but it says outer dimension, and it's 12¼ by 12¼ by 8½. So that's the length, width, and height of the box. That's one thing that's nice about USPS is that, and also not sponsored, but U-Line boxes are the same. They have the dimensions on there, so that is nice. And then I weigh mine just on my kitchen scale. I'll move the box around just a little bit. And actually, let me change it to ounces. Hold on. So we're at about. So we came in at about 22. We came in at about 22.5 ounces. So, and I'm not really gonna be adding. Yeah. I move it around just a little bit just to make sure. So, and it keeps coming back to about 22.5 ounces. So what I do is I'm going to go back to, I'm just at my laptop in my kitchen, and I've got I can't show you this part, like I said, because of the customer information. So package weight, I'm just going to put in ounces. So 22.5. So let's say 23 ounces because we're going to add the packing slip and tape and a label. So adding, just rounding up is all I'm saying I'm doing. And then you can choose, I'm setting this priority mail, and then you can choose if you want to add additional postage or signature confirmation or extra insurance. Not extra postage, but yeah. So, okay. So I'm going to take my box off of the thing. I'm going to take my packing slip, which I won't show you, but I basically fold it in half. I can't show it to you, but, and then just place it on top of the box, or maybe nestle it inside, and then I fold 2 sides down, 2 across, and then, so I want to protect this plant, right? And you can see here, I don't know if you can, let's see. Yeah, you can. See that? That's like little holes in the side where like water can seep in, which we don't want because we don't want the plant to, you know, be all wet by the time it gets to the customer. So what I do is I tape the sides. I tape the sides of the box as well. And I just take a box cutter and then I just make a slit here and then fold this in, and I did it same thing on the other side, cut it and fold it in, and then I fold this over, and then the two sides are sealed, and then I do that on the other side as well. Last step is your label, so don't forget your label. Is I take a marker and I write on the box fragile live plant, and I write that on all sides of the box. That way, in case there is a conscientious employee, that they'll notice that and hopefully treat the box with care. It doesn't help get your box shipped faster or anything, but it's just a nice precaution to take. And that's it. You can see, fragile life plant. And then I'll drive these to the post office, but if you don't want to do that, you can always schedule it, like I said, for the next day. But make sure if you do schedule it for the next day that your label says that it's going to go out the next day, that it's for, so it's May 31st today. So I would want to make sure if I was going to send this tomorrow that the label said June 1st. So you want to set it ahead a day. So that's it. The last step is just driving this to the post office. If I'd had time last night and I had pre-packed it up, yesterday just was a bad day for that. Like, we did all the watering in the store, so, or Pete, my husband did, and it was a bad day. So there wasn't really a lot of time to pack stuff up and ship it.